So, Namaskaram friends. So, in today's video, I am going to talk about important issues of 25th of May 2022. And today also we are going to talk about five different issues related with international relations, related with security, related with economics, related with all other dimensions. So today our five major topics are: first one is India Pacific Regional Prosperity, IPEFR, India Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. This topic is very much in news because Quad meeting is going on, and in this meeting, the leaders of four countries agree on something, disagree on something, and make collaboration to tackle with the problem of the Pacific region. So the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity is a very important issue related to that area. Second one is policy of strategic ambiguity. This is a policy adopted by USA related to Taiwan. That means if China attack Taiwan, USA gives him a nuclear weapon, give him a, you can say, weapon for war or not. So it is ambiguity in it. So USA continue this policy for a very long time. So this one is very much new because in the Quad meeting, Joe Biden, Prime Minister or President of USA, made this statement. Okay. Third one is we are going to talk about weakening of rupee. As Russia-Ukraine war going on, food prices increases, fuel prices increases, and also demand of dollar is increases. So in all this manner, rupee become weaker and it's impacted our overall economy. So these are three important issues, and other important issue related to these are you can talk about like fundamental right and fundamental duty. Okay, the one topic is related with fundamental right and fundamental duty. What are our fundamental rights? What are our fundamental duties? Okay, and fifth one is related to world of work. Okay, ILO release its report related to work and give a perspective and idea and data about how much work is affected in the COVID-19 era, before that, after that, and what is impact on the society, on gender, as well as what percentage of people are unemployed due to this whole pandemic. So these are five very important issues. World of work, ILO related with work, okay, economic, society, all are automatically to the fundamental and fundamental right and fundamental duties related with our life. Okay. Then India Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity related with the region of Indo-Pacific region. And then the last one is weakening of rupee, which also impact our society. Okay. So the first topic of today's lecture is Indo-Pacific Economic Prosperity or Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. So as the name suggests, Indo-Pacific related to a particular region, economic deal with economic, a framework is made related for prosperity. So in this framework, very important issues are suggested. First one is India signal its readiness to join new economic initiative. India signal its readiness to join the new economic initiative called Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, led by United States for the region. So Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity is a new initiative led by the USA. So India signal its readiness to join this initiative. Okay. The grouping, which includes 7 out of 10. In this grouping, how many countries are involved in this grouping? IPEC. So the grouping, which includes 7 out of 10 members of ASEAN. We know that 10 members of ASEAN. You can look it in the picture. Here I show you an image of countries of ASEAN. So you can clearly see in this image Myanmar, okay, Vietnam, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. This one is Malaysia. This one is Singapore. This one is Indonesia, Brunei, and Philippines. So the 10 countries. Okay, Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, and Philippines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these 10 countries are called, you can say, ASEAN country. But in these 10 countries, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia are very much close to the China. So these three countries not join the IPEC rupee, Indo-Pacific Economic IPEF, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. So 7 out of 10 ASEAN countries in this, all full quad country, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, India, and USA. So all these 4 countries and New Zealand represent 40% of the global GDP. Okay. So the members of IPEF are 7 out of 7 countries of ASEAN, excluding Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia, and 4 quad countries and 1 New Zealand. So all 11 countries. Okay. The IPEF would not be a free trade agreement. Okay. This framework is not a free trade agreement, or nor are countries expected to discuss reducing tariff or increasing market access. So it is not a free trade agreement. So countries do not discuss here to reduce a tariff or increase the market access. That means reduction of tariff process, increasing market access process is not discussed in this initiative. This is not a free trade agreement. In this sense, IPEF would not seek to replace 11 national CPTPP. CPTPP, you know that Trans-Pacific Partnership. Here in the map, I also show you the CPTPP. USA, earlier a member of TPP, but it pulled out of TPP. So Chile, Peru, Mexico, Canada, 4 of North American, South American country. Then next one is Japan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, Australia, and New Zealand. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 CPTPP members. So these 11 are CPTPP members. And we know that in IPEF, Japan is there, Vietnam is there, Malaysia is there, Singapore is there, Brunei is there, Australia is there, New Zealand is there. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 countries, or you can say are common in IPEC and in CPTPP. 7 countries are common. So in the whole process, in that sense, IPEF would not seek to replace 11 necessary countries. I show you in the map the 11 countries. That is, USA quit, and US from CPTPP, USA quit in 2007, or the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, with China and all other IPEF countries minus USA are part of it. So in RCEP, China and all other members are part of it, excluding USA. RCEP members are clearly shown in this picture. RCEP member are 10 ASEAN countries plus South Korea, Japan, India, China, Australia, New Zealand. That means 10 ASEAN plus China, India, plus South Korea, Japan, plus Australia, New Zealand from the RCEP. So in RCEP, China plus IPEF countries excluding USA are there. That means this IPEF is not a free trade agreement body, so it is not replacing CPTPP or RCEP. In CPTPP, USA is not there. In RCEP, USA is not there. Later on, in 2018, or I think, or 18 or 19, India is also not negotiating in terms of RCEP. Okay, few concerns related to free trade agreement is not settled between these countries. So India pull out of this RCEP. So 3 ASEAN countries considered closer to China. I told you earlier, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos are not member of IPEF. Okay. So in this whole process, we are talking about IPEF, CPTPP, ASEAN, ASEAN, and RCEP. So in RCEP, China plus IPEF member there, excluding USA. In CPP, 11 member excluding USA. And in RCEP, 10 Southeast Asian countries. So in the whole process, IPEF is not replacing this one, or not, you can say, counter this one. It is not a free trade agreement body, so countries are not negotiate about free market access or reducing tariff. Okay, so you can clearly see in this picture, Joe Biden, President of Japan, Prime Minister of India, and President or Prime Minister of Australia. So all these four are member of Quad. So they made Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for prosperity, and in this 4 Quad member, 7 ASEAN countries and New Zealand are part of it. So very much important. Now we are going to solve one question on it. Consider the following statement regarding the recently launched Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity (IPEF). IPEF is a new economic initiative led by USA. Yes. The grouping includes all the members of ASEAN. No, only 7 members. Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia are not there. IPEF is a free trade agreement. No, it is not a free trade agreement where countries have agreed to reduce tariff and increase market access. No, so this one is wrong. So option is on B. Only one is correct. So we check we are on the right path or not. So solution will be, that means we are on the right path. Okay. Now move on to our second topic called policy for strategic ambiguity. Policy for strategic ambiguity. So Washington is required by law. Washington, capital of USA, is required by law to provide self-ruled Taiwan. Taiwan is a self-ruled country with means to defend itself. That means Washington is required by law to provide self-ruled Taiwan means to defense in case of war, means itself if war is going on. It has long followed a policy of strategic ambiguity. USA followed a policy. USA followed a policy of strategic ambiguity for a long time. Okay, on whether it would intervene militarily to prevent it in the event of China attack. That means if China attack Taiwan, is USA intervening militarily or providing arms and ammunition to Taiwan? So in this policy, USA call it as a policy of strategic ambiguity. That means it never reveal it will help or not. It keep this policy in ambiguity, and it is long-standing policy of USA. Okay, a policy of deliberate ambiguity. That means this is a policy of deliberate ambiguity, also known as a policy of strategic ambiguity, in the practice by the government of being intentionally ambiguous on certain aspect of its foreign policy. So it is not like people do not know that, not aware of it. People know that, aware of that. They intentionally try to hide this or intentionally keep it secret or ambiguous on certain aspect of foreign policy. So this topic is in news because USA, in one speech, Joe Biden said that if in any situation war, if China attack Taiwan, so USA provide military weapon, or you can say intervene in this war through its policy of strategic ambiguity. Okay, so this one is very in news and very significant because when war is going on between China and Taiwan, so if USA intervenes, so it is indirectly a war between USA and China. These are two major economy of the world. And it is like war between Ukraine and Russia happen and disrupt the whole economy of the world. So if war is happening between China and USA, then it also disrupt the economy of the whole world. That's why leaders of the many countries keep watch on the statement of USA president, on the statement of Chinese president, so that world do not go into a turmoil for a long duration of time. Due to COVID-19, our world is, you can say, suffer a lot in terms of economy, in terms of tourism, in terms of many arena. So we avoid these types of situations occurring in the future. That's why we have to know these types of news so that we are updated on daily and daily basis and influence our government to what type of policy they adopt by, you can say, saying of suggestion, or you can say on this making discussion with the, you can say, expert in this area. Okay, so you can clearly see a picture I showing. I am from Taiwan. I am from Taiwan. It is wrapped in a plastic and, you can say, keep in a box. That means it is a policy of strategic ambiguity. That means it did not deliberately keep secret some of its policy, foreign policy. Okay. So now we want to solve one question on it. So the policy of strategic ambiguity is the practice by government of being intentionally ambiguous or certain aspect of its foreign policy. Yes, this is the definition of the policy of strategic ambiguity. The United States USA long followed a policy of strategic ambiguity on whether it would intervene militarily to protect Taiwan in the event of China attack. Yes, USA long followed the policy of strategic, you can say, strategic ambiguity in case of Taiwan if China make a war on Taiwan. United States is required by law to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself in the event of Chinese attack. Yes, USA required by a law If USA want to intervene in the war between China and Taiwan and provide armed ammunition to Taiwan, so it is a must be a law in the USA which provide this type of thing. So this one is also correct. So option 1, 2, and 3 all are correct. So our option is D. We check we are on the right path or not. Yes, we are on the right path. So now we move on to another topic called world of work. World of work. So the world of work is being affected by multiple crises. Multiple crises, COVID-19 crisis, Russia-Ukraine crisis, okay, and many small war here and there is going on. Say the 9th edition of the ILO monitor. So 9th edition of the ILO International Labour Organization monitor, 9th edition of ILO monitor, you can say raise a concern about world of work being affected by a multiple crisis. Okay, the report said that after significant gains during the last quarter of 21, the report said that in last quarter of 21, significant gains is happening. The numbers of our work globally, dropped in the first quarter of 22. It saw a significant improvement in the last quarter of 2021, but in the first quarter of 2022, hours worked globally is dropped in the first quarter of 2021 to 3.1% below the employment situation before the pandemic, and it reduced to 3.1% of the employment before the pandemic. Okay, so in the first quarter of 2022, hours worked globally is reduced, and it is reduced up to 3.8% of the employment situation before the pandemic. Okay, so about 11.2 crore jobs might have lost between this period, according to the report. So according to the report, 11.2 crore jobs are lost between this period. Okay. So very much important. 11.2 crore jobs, 3.8% below the employment situation before the pandemic, and it is in the first quarter of 2022 because hours worked globally dropped very significantly. It shows improvement in the last quarter. So remember that report, World of Work is report is of ILO monitor. Okay, it saw a drop in the first quarter of 2022, and it is 3.9% of the employment situation before pandemic, and 11.2 crore jobs are lost in this period. So now we want to. So this is a picture of world of work. Many people do different things, different works. Okay. And this one is released by ILO, International Labour Organization. This is the office of ILO. Okay, and this is a logo of. This one is a logo of ILO. This one is the office of ILO, and this is showing the world of work. People doing different work in different sectors. So now we are going to solve one question on the world of work report is released by very simple ILO, International Labour Organization. So option is C. We check we are on the right path or not. So we are on the right path. Now we move on to next topic called fundamental rights and duties. In our Constitution, Part 4 and Part 4A deal with Part 4 is deal with fundamental right and 4A is deal with fundamental duty. So fundamental right and fundamental duties are correlative and inseparable. It is very much correlated with each other, and we cannot separate it from one another. Okay, they are correlative as well as inseparable. Also, the original constitution contains only the fundamental right and not the fundamental duty. That means when our original constitution is framed, it do not contain fundamental duty. It is added later on, but initially it only contains fundamental duty. The fundamental duties of citizen were added in the constitution later in 1976. I told you in 1976. Later we added it. So the year is 1976. In 1976, on the recommendation of Swarn Singh Committee. On the recommendation of Swarn Singh Committee, we added fundamental duty in our constitution. Next one is in 2023, one more fundamental duty was added, right to education of children between the age of 6 to 40, free and compulsory education, and it is the responsibility of the parents. So this fundamental in 2022, this fundamental duty is added in our constitution. Although both fundamental duties and fundamental rights and fundamental duties are inseparable, there are certain differences between them. Though it is inseparable or correlative, but there is also certain differences between fundamental right and fundamental duty. So very important, very you can say important and very easy. Fundamental right and FR&FD. Fundamental right and fundamental duties are correlative and inseparable. Originally, in our constitution, fundamental right is there, fundamental duty is not. In later 1976, we added fundamental duty in our constitution on the recommendation of Swan Committee, and in 2002, right to education as a fundamental duty is included in our constitution, in which it is said that parents have a, you can say, responsibility to parents have the responsibility to send their children to a school, because every student, every children have a right to you can say study, right to education, who are fall in the age group of 6 to 14 years of age. And also, though fundamental right and fundamental duties are inseparable, but there is also some differences between them. Okay, so in this picture you will clearly see there are two. We measure, because we weight which one is higher, which one is lower. So they try to keep a balance between fundamental right and duty. That means they do not move on this down this or move on this down this. They try to balance between fundamental duty and fundamental right. It is very much important for any society to grow on its full potential. You can say balance between fundamental right and fundamental duty. If we have a constitution and government given us some fundamental rights, so it is our duty that we also, if we enjoy our fundamental right, we also perform our duty to help on time bound manner. Okay. So now we move on to one question on it. Consider the following statement: fundamental rights and fundamental duties are correlative and inseparable. Yes. Fundamental right universally applied to all citizens irrespective of race, place of work, religion, caste, and gender. Yes. Universally apply all the citizens. The original constitution did not contain fundamental duties and fundamental right, and both were added. No. Originally, it do not contain fundamental duty, but it contained fundamental right. In 1976, we added fundamental duty, and later in 2002 also added one more fundamental duty. Okay. So option 1 and 2 is correct. So option A is correct. Now move on to the next topic. Just a minute. I think I forgot to keep it in. Just a minute. Next topic is weakening of rupee. So why this topic is very much in news? That is weakening of rupee. So this topic is very much in news because there is a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. In this manner, the whole economy of the world is disrupted. Oil, food and fuel prices are increasing. Okay, dollar demand is increasing. So weakening of rupee. So thanks to the rapid jump of crude oil in the global market. In global market, rapid jump in crude oil occur and strengthening the USA dollar. If crude oil, because jump in happen, it strengthens the dollar, and so rupee is downward. Rupee is on its downward spiral. Okay, if dollar increases, or you can say demand of dollar increases, rupee decreases. So why the Indian rupee weakening? On December 16, the Indian rupee exchange rate slid past the 76 per US dollar. In December 16, it, you can say, breached the boundary of 76 mark for the first time since the June 22. Since June 22, it breached this mark for the first time and stood at 76.25%. That means it breached the boundary of 76 and it stood at 76.25%. It has fallen beyond 76 in March 2022. In March 2022, when COVID-19 cases surged and economic came to a grinding halt, it breached the mark of it fallen also beyond the 76. That means before June 2022, in March 2022, our rupee also breached the 76 boundary. But in June 2020, it breached the 76 mark and stood at 76.25. Because first one is due to COVID, and second one is we try to recover from the COVID. But now, however, this time its fall was driven by widening trade deficit. The region of fall is different. Earlier region of fall is COVID-19, but now region of fall is widening trade deficit. and foreign investors pulling out funds from the equity. So our trade deficit is very much widened, and foreign investors pulling out their money from the equity. So these are two regions which are from which our rupee is weakened. And India's trade gap widened to a record high $22.9. So trade deficit is at a record high. Okay. So trade deficit is $22.9 billion on account of rising imports. We are importing lots of things but exporting few things. And foreign portfolio investor FPI also plunged for the third consecutive month, and foreign portfolio investor pull out their money from the Indian market. Okay, trade deficit, FPI investor pull out their money, and also you can say pull out equity in the Indian market. So thus weakening the rupee further. But the rupee fall is modest when compared to the current currencies of the other emerging economies. Okay, it said that though Indian rupee is falling, but it is not. It is modest related to other developing countries. So the whole crux of it is Indian rupees breached the mark of 76 in March 2020 due to COVID-19. Also in June 2022 due to COVID-19 and its recovery from the COVID-19. But now again Indian currency breached the mark of 76 and reason is different. In this, when at this point of time rupee fall, reason is we are our trade deficit is very high because we import lots of things and export less number of things. And our trade deficit is 22.9 billion. And second reason is foreign portfolio investor pull out their equity from the Indian market, and they come into Indian market for third time to pull the money. So when FPI pull their money, and when imports are on a high scale and we are very much in trade deficit scenario, so all together they contribute to the weakening of Indian rupee. Okay, so in this picture you can clearly see weakening of rupee. Okay, reason is foreign portfolio investor plunge into the market and pull out their equity, and import increases and trade deficit. Due to import, trade deficit it is at a higher level of $22.9. So now we move on to solve one question on it. Which of the following can lead to the weakening of Indian rupee? Widening trade deficit, yes, 22.9 billion. Foreign investors pulling out funds from the Indian stock market, yes. Rapid increase in crude oil prices in the global market, yes. It increases the price of dollar, so decreases the price of rupee. So all three factors are contributing to the whole process, the process of weakening of rupee. So option is 1, 2, and 3. Option is D. So we are on the right path. So now I try to summarize the whole concept in a small topic. So first one is our called Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. Second one is World of Work. I think this one is third one. Second one is Policy of Strategic Ambiguity. Then fourth one is Fundamental Rights and Fundamental Duties. And fifth one is weakening of rupee. So all these fifth topics are very much important. So I'll just summarize in a small lecture. So in IPEF, USA lead this initiative and India is ready to join this initiative. And this is an initiative for the economic, strengthening the economic tie between the Quad countries, Asian countries, and New Zealand. So the member of IPEF is 7 ASEAN countries, excluding Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia, because they are very much close to China, so they do not show their interest to join this initiative. Plus 4 Quad countries, Australia, India, Japan, and USA, and then New Zealand. So all the 4 plus 1 plus 7, all the 11 countries are part of IPEF. Not IPEF, IPEF. So IPEF is not a free trade, you can say free trade board negotiation body. That means here you cannot, you can say, negotiate on the terms of free market access or reduce tariff. Okay, and it is not in terms of replacing CPTPP or neither talk in terms of RCEP. Okay, so very much important. Second one is we talk about policy of strategic ambiguity. So in this policy, from the very long time, USA adopt this policy in relation with Taiwan. That means if China attack on Taiwan, so USA provide arms and ammunition and also intervene in this war. But for that, USA required a law. Okay, so that's it for this topic. Third one is world of work. So world of work report is led by ILO monitor. It raises the concern that in the last quarter of 2020, we improved in terms of employment and work hour, but in the first quarter of 2022, work hour globally which reduced a lot, and it is approximately 3.8% of the pre-unemployment level is 3.8% of the pre-pandemic era. That means approximately 11.2 crore people lost their job in this period. Okay, and now the fourth topic is fundamental right and fundamental duties. So fundamental right and fundamental duties are very much correlative and inseparable. Earlier, fundamental right are included in the original constitution. Fundamental right is there, but fundamental duty is not. Later on in 1976, on the recommendation of Swan Committee, we added fundamental right. In 2002, another fundamental duty is added in our constitution, right to education. Though fundamental right and fundamental duties are inseparable and you can say correlative, but there is also some differences between them. And the last topic is today's classic. Beginning of rupee. So there are many factors involved in the beginning of rupee. First one is increase imports. You can say increase in crude prices in the global market. You can say trade deficit, high trade deficit. Foreign portfolio investor pull out equity from the Indian stock market. Okay, so these are four very important areas, and also war between Russia and Ukraine, which increases fuel and food prices. So, but these are not directly related with the weakening of rupee. Imports increases, that means trade deficit increases. Crude oil, this one is, yeah, crude oil prices in the global market increases the demand of dollar, so weakening the rupee, and FPI pulling money from the market, so also weakening the rupee. So this is a very small lecture on different issues. So I hope you love this lecture and enjoy this lecture, and from this lecture you gain some perspective related to what is going on in the whole world, related to economics, related to your rights, related to what COVID-19, in which manner COVID-19 impact the whole world in terms of employment, in terms of work hours, and how we, by understanding this concept, how we, you can say, imbibe this concept in our life and try to improve our life as well as the life of the other people. Because the whole job of my recording this lecture, uploading it and telling you this and that is, you first enhance your life for the betterment and for the consciousness, and also help other people to do so. So I hope you love this lecture and enjoy this lecture. So namaskaram, thank you.